Greetings, everyone. I'm Susmit Singh, registration number 20BBS0018, a third year CSBS student from VIT Vellore. Today, I would love to have a brief discussion about the state of poverty in India. So, what is the definition of poverty? Poverty is the state of not having enough material possessions or income for a person's basic needs. Poverty may include social, economic, and political elements. Absolute poverty is the complete lack of the means necessary to meet basic personal needs such as food, clothing, shelter, or anything. So India is a developing nation. Although its economy is growing, poverty is still a major challenge that India is facing. However, poverty is on the decline in India. Now let's discuss this with a statistical point of view. With the poverty line basis of $2.15 per day, 10% of Indians were poor in 2019, which is a great decline from 22.5% of poor Indians from 2011. Now, rural India has more poverty than urban India, with 11.9% poor people in rural India compared to just 6.4% in urban. Well, this illustrates a downward trend in poverty as India gradually moves ahead. So, extreme poverty is about 12.3%, point lower in 2019 when compared to 2011. With significant reductions in rural India. Since Government of India has stopped publishing figures regarding the poverty, CIME or Center of Monitoring Indian Economy has been conducting surveys every fourth month since January of 2014 with a sample size of 1,74,000 households in 28 states of India. In rural India, poverty has reduced more during the 2011-2019 period, which is around 14.7%, which is much more than the decline in urban area, which is just around 7.9%. So in between, there was a sudden surge in poverty in 2019, mainly due to demonetization, but that was extremely short-lived. So, but the poverty reduction rate has been slowing down. The reduction rate during 2004 to 2011 was averaging around 2.5% annually, which is now just compared to a 1.3% annual decline rate. So now let's take a historical point of view of poverty in India. The 19th century and the early 20th century saw increasing poverty in India during the colonial era. Over this period, the colonial governments deindustrialized India by reducing garments and other finished products manufactured by artisans in India. Instead, they imported these products from Britain's expanding industry due to the many industrial innovations of 19th century. Additionally, the government simultaneously encouraged the conversion of more and more land into farms to produce and sort of push for more agricultural exports from India. Now, these colonial policies have moved more unemployed artisans into farming and transformed India into a region that is increasingly abundant in land, but unskilled labor and has low productivity. This consequently made India scarce in skill labor, capital, and knowledge. On an inflation-adjusted 1973 rupee basis, the average income of Indian laborer was just 7.2 rupees per year in 1885 against an inflation-adjusted poverty line of rupees 23.90 per year. Thus, not only the average income was below the poverty line, but the intensity of poverty was extremely severe. The intensity of poverty increased from 1885 to 1921 before being reversed. However, the absolute poverty rates continued to be very high during 1930s. The colonial policies on taxation and its recognition of land ownership claims of zamindar, mansabdars, or even Mughal era nobility made a minority of families extremely wealthy. Although these policies weakened the ability of poorer peasants to command land and credit, the resulting rising landlessness and stagnant real wages intensified poverty. Now with that, let's just discuss about the decline of poverty in India and how it has been made possible, right? So we have seen how the poverty is on a decline in India. So since the 1950s, the Indian government and the non-governmental organizations have initialized several programs to alleviate poverty, including subsidizing food and other necessities, increased access to loans, improving agriculture techniques, price supports, promoting education and family planning, and all these things. These measures have helped eliminate famines, cut absolute poverty levels by more than half, and reduce illiteracy and malnutrition. Although the Indian economy has grown steadily over the last 2 decades, the growth has been uneven when comparing social groups, economic groups, geographical regions, rural and urban areas. For example, the year 2015 to 2016, the GSDP growth rate of Andhra, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh was higher than the Maharashtra, Odisha, or Punjab. Though GDP growth rate matters a lot economically, the debate is moving towards another consensus in India whether the unhealthy infatuation with GDP growth matters less and holistic development of all inclusive growth matters more. While India may well be on the path towards eradicating extreme poverty, it still lags behind in other important development indicators, even in comparison to some of the neighboring countries, especially in regards to health and education. So concluding, India has achieved annual growth exceeding 7% over the last 15 years and continues to pull millions of people out of poverty, according to the World Bank. So the country has halved its poverty rate over the past 3 decades and has seen strong improvements in most human development outcomes. A report by International Financial Institution has found this. So growth is expected to continue and the elimination of extreme poverty in the next decade is within reach. This is said by the World Bank, so which also warned the country's development trajectory as it faces considerable challenges. Thank you so much for your time.